Welcome back to Grow with the Flow, the podcast where we follow curiosity, sit with hard conversations, and trust that something good comes from just letting life flow. Today's guest found me, or maybe I found him, somewhere over the Gulf of Thailand on the flight from Bangkok. We were strangers, sitting next to each other, and within an hour, we weren't strangers any longer. His name is Daniel Wang, and what he shared with me on that plane is what we're about to hear today. Daniel lost his wife Sherry 3 years ago, and what followed was grief, depression, addiction, and eventually, slowly a return. And this is a conversation about loss, about what we reach for when we're in the dark, and what it looks like to find your way back to yourself. Daniel, welcome to Grow with the Flow. It's really an absolute honor to have you here after just meeting a few days ago.
I feel like it was a bit of fate, but yeah, thank you so much, Flo, for bringing me here to share my story.
Yeah. Before we start into anything, you asked me if we could start with like a grounding exercise that you learned from your men's circle. Well, actually from Sherry's mother, right?
Yes.
So you just want to talk me through it. Let's get into it. Mohammed, who's behind the camera, maybe you want to join in as well on this grounding exercise.
Come join us. So there's no right or wrong way to do this, and we'll just do this for a few minutes. So just want you to just loosen up your body a little bit, and imagine that you're a playful child, and just doing whatever you want to do, and then something you see it's extremely, extremely funny. And I want you to just laugh and smile and just feel that joy and express it as well as you can. So you ready?
I think, yeah.
All right, let's just go. 1, 2, 3. How does that feel, gentlemen?
Good. Yeah. I feel alive. Nice. This is it feels very embodied, right? I know there's just these exercises of just feeling, like just laughing. It's almost like this fake it till you make it, right? I had a lot of people, I heard it so many times when you're stressed, you're feeling sad, to just smile and just laugh and just do it until you laugh naturally.
Yeah.
Nice, this is great. I feel great.
Yeah, I just feel so lifted, and my shoulders feel much lighter, and I feel really happy now. So yeah, thanks for doing that with me.
Nice. So, I already mentioned a little bit about you and the story that you shared with me in the plane. I think one thing I'd like to share is how really honored I was and how much I appreciated how quickly you were able to open up about that story and about that tragedy that you experienced in life. And I think what I want to know is, before any of the hard stuff, who were you when Sherry was alive, and who were you and Sherry together? What did ordinary look like for you two?
Oh, let's see. I'll start with how maybe we met. Yeah. In 20s, I was just hanging out with my guy friends, and we went on a group hike where Sherry was there with her friends, I was there with my friends, and my guy friends were trying to get her attention, and they're kind of like, what guys do, try to make jokes and get her number, and they failed. All three of them failed miserably. They're still all my dear friends right now, by the way. And I was just poking fun. I'm like, oh, you guys are terrible at this. And they were like, oh yeah, Daniel? Well, why don't you show us how it's done? And I was a bit of a goofball back then. I was wearing like 5-toe finger shoes and just dressed whatever I wanted to wear. And when I walked up to her, it wasn't love at first sight. definitely not. In fact, she thought I was weird, and I thought she was kind of strange. And then later on, as we started talking and getting to know each other, then I realized, like, hey, this girl is actually pretty cool. So I asked her out on a first date, and I asked Sherry, hey, would you like to go have some Ethiopian food? Because I wanted to test her, like that's how dates are. I wanted to see if she would be willing to, like, use her hands and eat. And that's my type of girl. So when we went on that, I called her up, and she said, hey, can I bring my friend Lexi along with us? And in my mind, I was like, oh, but I don't want a group setting. I want to, I want to go on a date one-on-one with this girl, right? So I just told her, hey, I just want to be there with you, and I'd be happy to hang out with Lexi and you together on another event, but yeah, I just want to have dinner with you. So we had that dinner, and I was astonished by how good of an eater with her hands she was. And she just, didn't hold back. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get my nails dirty or something. She just went for it. And then we just talked through the night. Like after dinner, we walked around in San Francisco. So that's where I'm based. And she was there for grad studies. So we were walking around and had a plot of grass area where we were just like overlooking the moon, shining over the water across the Bay Bridge, Golden Gate Bridge, and we just talked through the night, and it was hours. And that's how I knew, wow, this is a connection right here that I'm not going to let go. So that was the beginning of our relationship.
Do you think, as much as you were maybe testing Sherry, if she's willing to go to Ethiopian food, maybe she tested you by inviting a friend along to see if you can stand your ground?
Absolutely. Yeah, so many hoops to jump through. Just one of them.
But it sounds like a very beautiful way of meeting, and a very romantic way of letting a first date kind of come to a close, for sure.
Thank you.
So yeah, now tell me, how was the relationship then after you've met and you got into a relationship? How did ordinary look like for you two? And yeah.
Sherry was very adventurous, and that's what hooked me, because I was very curious about where her energy came from. She almost seemed like she never had an end to this bountiful sunshine. Like she was always smiling and always positive. So I wanted to be around her. It's just like I gravitated towards her. Yeah. Everyday life, every day was different. I think that was the magic, because there was so much variety. The two of us were a very special team and combination. I often find her like my compass, like my living compass, to find certain direction. So while we were together, there were times when very spontaneously one of us would suggest something very random, and then we would do it as a team together. So it was almost like there was less fear as we were together.
What's one of the examples that you remember, one of these random things that someone suggested you did together?
I think the best example would be our honeymoon. So we wanted to make it something where we would never forget. And we were still young at this time. It was back in 2016, and we wanted to go to the hottest place on Earth that's uninhabitable. So that's the Danakil Depression. Magnificent. It was like we're on a different planet. There's a lot of sulfur, and it's like, if you can imagine what Mars would look like, with a lot of orange, yellow hues. Yeah, crazy. We had a lot of trust in our driver to get us there, because those were not really roads. It was literally just driving through rocks, and we're just sleeping underneath the moonlight, out in the open. And it was a huge risk. Actually, in fact, one of the things I had to do before that trip was to get a motorcycle license. And it was because of her to support me to get that motorcycle license. And because of that, we were able to ride a motorcycle out to, there's a lake where there are flamingos, and it's near this tribe by the Masai Mara. And it was just it was crazy. Like the bike actually broke down, and I think this is probably normal if you're out there. So we had to, walk our motorbike to the village, and the villagers were just kind of looking at us, and I felt like I was in a zoo, like I was the main event. Like people were just looking at me like, oh, they've never seen an Asian American before. But it felt quite special, like we were, a bit of a celebrity at that time. But we're walking through the village, and these experiences, just because of Sherry, like the passion that she had for life, to live each day to the fullest. Yeah, my heart is beating really fast just thinking about this moment, because it brings back such good memories.
Yeah, tell me about Sherry as a person. You mentioned she was adventurous, but what more was there to Sherry? Tell me about her.
More about her adventureness. There's so much. Where do I start? I find myself feeling a variety of different emotions, because throughout her life, she has always been growing and learning. And I feel like because we did we experienced a lot of that growth together, is why I'm actually feeling some sadness right now. But I'm also feeling a lot of joy and gratefulness to having been able to share that with her. And I feel like a lot of that adventureness that she had was put on fast forward, because when she had received her diagnosis, it felt like there was limited time. So we had to act fast. Yeah, when we first discovered, it goes all the way back to a year after we were married, 2017, May of 2017 got married. 1 year later, we were taking a shower together, and I noticed this lump on her breast. And when I felt that, I was like, whoa, this is different. We should go get this checked out. And it was also happened to be the weekend we were going to go to a music festival. So to answer your question about that adventureness, we're going to go to Lightning in a Bottle. It was a music festival on a smaller scale of Burning Man. Mm-hmm. So we were going to have a lot of fun, but then all of a sudden, we just got a huge curveball.
Yeah. Completely
unexpected. But we did go to the doctor. The oncologist gave us the news. She was declared to be stage 3, maybe stage 4, after getting a biopsy. Yeah, we were just struck. Didn't initially know what to do. Felt very lost, and felt like just this big boulder had just landed on us. Before that, we felt like we were invincible, we were just like taking on the world together. And then all of a sudden, like, whoa, what is this? So our first action was to clear our mind. And in order to get grounded, what we did was we let go of the ticket to the music festival. And then we decided to find a calmer place where we could do some more searching, homework, and just to relax a bit. So we went to Hawaii. Yeah. Sherry's from Taiwan, and we both have this very special place for islands in our hearts. It's like whenever we're on an island, we know that the worries will flow away. Yeah. So that was the idea, to get away for a little bit. So we went to Hawaii, and we made a lot of phone calls. Had a lot of interviews with friends in the medical field. There were doctors like Dr. Alan Wu, he's a chiropractor. Our friend Jen, she's a nurse. We wanted to reach out to as many friends in the medical field as possible to get an idea of what is our way to approach this, instead of letting what the norms are, going to hospital and trusting the oncologist. Now, I deeply respect doctors and hospitals. If I lost my finger right now, I definitely will go to a hospital.
Yeah, of course.
But in this case, we felt like we were just listening to our bodies. And in a sense, we're asking ourselves, like, what caused the cancer to begin with? Like, was it an environmental thing? Was it something we're eating, being exposed to something in the air, like all the fumes from automobiles, or is it toxicity in the water? I mean, it could be anything. So what we ended up trying out first.
Maybe let me ask in the meantime, before that, when you got the diagnosis that it was stage 3, maybe stage 4 cancer, what was the communication or the expectation from the doctors at this point? I mean, I know that doctors are often hesitant to give you a deadline, a definitive, you have X amount of months left.
Yeah.
But how did the doctors communicate that, or how did they set the expectation on how to deal with the cancer? Did they say that it's terminal? Did they at this point say that it's something you might be able to manage or to treat with chemotherapy? What's the expectation that the doctors set?
First off, I personally felt a lot of pressure to make decisions very quickly because it felt like time was running out. And when we asked the oncologist how much time we have, she said it varies. It could be anywhere from a year to a couple years. It depends on how the treatment goes. And her recommendation was to go straight to chemotherapy. Yeah, I think that's primarily the standard of what most hospitals recommend. And I'm very grateful that we were at UCSF, one of the best hospitals in the nation and the world. We also got second opinions at Stanford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then once you went to Hawaii, you started doing your homework and you started looking for maybe your own path.
Right.
On how to handle this, right? Not only the diagnosis and whatever that would lead to, but also maybe the illness. Was there a way where how did you meet that? How did that feel like for you in that moment? Obviously you had your wife who received that diagnosis, but then there's also you who had to deal with this. Like, how was that for you? There were just so many feelings I was going through at that time. It felt unfair. There was just this voice in my head, like, why did this happen to us? And there was also this part of us that, knowing that we were there doing this together, it was a sense of empowerment. Like, we felt like we could take this on. We actually, at that time, we were very strong. Like, we were so determined to find the solution and get her better. Like, we had no doubt in the world that she would get better. And that was the mentality we had. And I feel like that helped push us through some very difficult times. There were also times I was just feeling really sad, like I didn't really have someone that I could fully express my emotions to at that time. And a lot of that burden, I ended up just holding it on the inside. There are times I felt like, now looking back, I really needed to cry. And
as a man growing up in the US, I didn't feel like I would be supporting myself and my wife the best way if I were to show these vulnerabilities. It was seen as a weakness. So I suppressed it. And I know better now.
Yeah, during some research that I've done, I learned that there's something called anticipatory grief that, you know, is maybe not something that a lot of people are as familiar with, because I think we all know the concept and the idea, and maybe we were unfortunate enough to experience it ourselves, to feel grief after the event when a loved one passed away. But I'm sure that grief started the moment you got the diagnosis, because the moment you have the diagnosis and you're dealing with the concept and the idea of your partner passing over, that's when a grief can start. That's when this anticipatory grief can start. And I can absolutely understand how, especially as a man, when there's so much expectations in so many ways that we're supposed to be and supposed to support our partner and so forth, suddenly you have to deal with this grief, right? Because you feel there's no space for it. So the illness progressed for a few years then, right? And then I think it would have been, how long? How long was the illness? How much longer did Cherry have to
Actually,
start looking at things?
If you met her at the early stages, you wouldn't even know that she was sick. Yeah, like she was just so active. She was doing everything that I would imagine a very full life would include. So that is why it was such a surprise to whenever she shared this with her friends that she had cancer. No one would have known. Yeah, and she had the vitality in her. It's just her personality. Yeah, she ended up living with the diagnosis, starting diagnosis to the last day. It was close to 5 years, and much better than what the doctor had initially given us, which was maybe 2 years.
Wow. Do you think that some of the homework that you started doing in Hawaii helped you? Tell me, is there anything different that you've done that would maybe go against the grain of what Western medicine and maybe the doctors at UCSF would have suggested?
First off, I would not have changed anything. I feel like for us, this was the right path. If we were to go with the doctor's recommendation, she would have gotten chemo right away. And instead, we saved that for the last resort, if no other options are available to us. Granted, it's not for everybody. For us, this is what spoke to us, is to try everything else, and also what we have control over. So we did start with her parents' suggestions. Oh, let me go back. When we first had interviews, everybody gave us so many different opinions about what we should do. And you should try this. You should go straight to the doctor, believe whatever she says, and just do that. And then her parents wanted to try a Chinese herbal medicine, which doesn't harm the body. So we did try that for about a month, just to give it a test trial. Basically, it's like the soup that she drinks, and then when she lets it out, we take pictures of the poop, and then the doctor will prescribe new medicine based on, I guess, the results of what comes out of her body. Yeah, terrible tasting stuff. I tried it. It tastes like mud. I don't know. But it didn't work, unfortunately. We didn't see any results in the scans. And then this is where we stumbled upon the Gerson therapy. This was recommended by our nurse, and chiropractor friend. So this is a holistic approach where it was a 2-year program that includes a special type of diet. Specifically, it's organic, vegan. And for us, that was such a heartbreak to hear because we love to eat food with a lot of flavor. So just eliminating seafood alone was already a huge one, and it was tough to hear that. But we decided that if this is going to be our regime, we're going to go through this together. Well, and I'm the cook at the home, so this was a huge challenge for me to not use any salt, sugar, soy sauce. It was literally just like natural herbs. I could use organic ginger and garlic and onions to help with flavor. Usually I'll use those raw to get a little more of a flavor. And then a lot of the food, vegetables, organic, had to be steamed, or I'll sometimes make a soup. And on top of the diet, there was also juicing. So we had to make a cold pressed juice, 8 ounces, 8 times a day. So she was not drinking any water. It was only juice.
Wow.
Yeah, so we used our gift money from our wedding to buy this industrial commercial juicer, which was like $2,000.
Wow.
And with this juicer, we were putting in carrots, Granny Smith apples, lettuce, escarole, green pepper. My memory's a little fuzzy now because I haven't done it in a while. But a lot of vegetables, you can imagine.
I'm sure it tastes better than the mud water from the Chinese medicine, right?
Oh, absolutely, hands down. And along with those juices, part of the program in Gerson is to do coffee enemas. So she was doing initially, I think 4 to 5 coffee enemas a day at the most, and then down to about 3. So it would depend on how her results were along the way as we were getting tests, like in terms of her levels of This is the part where I placed a lot of trust in Sherry. I really valued her decision making along this whole process, and the best support that I could give was just supporting her.
Yeah.
Because her background, she was a pharmacist in Taiwan, so she knows about medicine. And then when she came to the US, it was for a business degree, but then she ended up working at Gilead Sciences, which is a pharmaceutical company. So again, dealing with medicine. And it is a bit of a surprise that that's not what we originally gravitated toward medicine. Because we understand that medicine can help in some situations, but sometimes it's just covering up the symptoms of what you see. And that's not what we were looking for. We wanted to get to the root cause.
Yeah.
So with that, this is something we had control over, what goes into the body and what leaves the body. So the idea was to incorporate and add a lot of vitamins and minerals into her body, and then let go as much of the toxins as possible.
And you did this for 2 years.
2 years.
And did you continue doing that throughout, or did you just kind of do it for 2 years to see how that goes and then you stop doing that?
About a year into the Gerson therapy, we started seeing positive results. The cancer started to shrink, and the doctor was kind of astonished. She was surprised, like, oh, this normally doesn't happen. But we also didn't put all of our eggs in one basket. At the same time she was doing Gerson therapy, she was also doing hormone therapy. Yeah, so this is what we went to UCSF regularly to get treatment for. So it was certainly a lot easier on her body than chemo would have been at that stage. And our plan was to get her body in the best shape possible to recovery and live the best life possible. And if there is no resort, I mean, if we're running out of options, then that would be chemo, would be the last option.
At this point, I wonder, was there hope that there is possibility for full recovery? And how was it for you? Were you hoping that you could beat cancer, or in your mind and Sherry's mind, was it more about managing the cancer and expanding the life for as long as possible? How did it? Where were you there?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Toward the beginning of the journey, right, getting into Gerson therapy, we were very optimistic, extremely optimistic. In fact, so optimistic that I wanted to start a video blog of us showing others how we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. So showing the juicing, showing the travels that we're still able to do during the time that we get treatment. Because we definitely are not going to stay in a room, go to the hospital, and just be behind closed walls. We're getting out there. We're living a good life. So we actually made a video, just the two of us with our little puppy, introducing ourselves as well as how we're going to beat cancer. So that was the mentality we had. We're going to beat this, and we're not going to give up. And that was able to get us through Gerson therapy, because that was a very rigorous process. In fact, that was the first time I had to hire help, mm-hmm. to have an auntie come in to help us wash vegetables and help with some of the cooking, because it was a full-time job. And the first important, vital, and essential question I asked Sherry, like along this whole process, was, what makes you happy? Like, what brings you joy? Because we need to focus time on that. And does working still bring you that much joy? Because for some people it does. But for Sherry, she had to think about it, because she's the type of person that really enjoyed being around her coworkers. But at the same time, she realized there's such a finite amount of this resource, time, that she would have to choose. So she decided to go back to school. And at City College of San Francisco, she decided to enroll in all the classes that she's always wanted to do, had she had time, like a retirement. So this was her opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I love her for that spirit, because that's my motto now, is do what brings you joy and brings you a smile. So she started to take Spanish speaking classes, and then she was on the tennis team, the women's tennis team. She started arranging flowers, and she would bring back these beautiful arrangements back home, and that brought me so much joy to see her create something with her hands. And even to this day, I still use some of the ceramics she made. She's made like cups and bowls and plates, and every time I see one of them, this is not one of them, but it just brings me so much joy. Yeah. Knowing that she was not holding back in terms of what she loved to do in life. There was so much more. She was in like, I believe 3 or 4 different dance classes. She performed in two dance performances on stage. I'm just so proud of her to be able to accomplish so much. And not to compare, but sometimes I look at her life and like, I feel like that's a complete life. To be able to not have anyone tell you, hey, you have to keep working in order to make more money, but for her, that wasn't it. It was just experiencing life.
It's very inspiring. And it does sound that Sherry lived more in 5 years after the diagnosis that many others live in a whole lifetime. By putting so much emphasis in the present and still learning Spanish and learning dancing because it gives you joy now. Right? So unfortunately, the positive kind of progression that you saw after a year of hormone therapy and the diet wasn't enough. So as the cancer progressed, unfortunately, 3 years ago, Sherry then did pass away.
Yeah. Actually, before switching over to something that is a much darker part of my life, I'd like to also share that we did what we originally thought was impossible to many. In our Gerson community, a lot of people were just staying at home because you have to do the juicing and the enemas, and this was not in our spirit. As I said, we were still, very ambitious, trying to live a good life and travel still, but the airplane was a difficult place to do because we couldn't bring a juicer with us and juice along the way. Yeah. It was every hour she needed to get the juicing. So she made one of my dreams come true, which was to get a travel trailer, RV. So we did a road trip from San Francisco all the way to Chilliwack, Canada, over the course of 2 days. And along the trip, we had a van with a cooler, the juicer, and having to share the story with every host we stayed at, that I need to use the kitchen for an odd number of hours to do a lot of juicing, and then also to have the convenience of our own bathroom along the way. So very grateful for the two hosts along the way to make it to our destination in Canada, where we picked up our dream home on wheels. And I feel like this was a package altogether because we got our dream car, which was a van, and then now it's our dream home. It just happens to have wheels. Mm-hmm. So we're able to make that dream come true. We picked up an escape trailer, fiberglass, and this was our ticket to travel and not be bound within limits. So we had a kitchen in there with a bathroom. So we were able to go across the US to Montana, and it was just along the way, anywhere we wanted to stop and just enjoy what beauty Mother Nature has in store with us. We were able to just take our time and go at our pace. So we were able to take control of the situation in this case, instead of having this structure of having to go to the doctor and then going back home and doing enemas and juicing. This way we were able to see the world. And this was our dream. What, in terms of living our life here, was to continue living on our terms. So that was how we were able to modify it. And we received so much support from the Gerson community because, first off, we were very young, and most of the other patients were much older who had cancer. So, I feel like I just miss her so much. Yeah.
So how long were you traveling together through North America then, in the van? And what were some of your favorite memories and adventures from there? Because it sounds like Sherry's nature, her sense for adventure, obviously was still alive throughout the battle with cancer and that journey.
Yes.
The fact that she got you out there in a camper van.
Yeah. I have to bring in Sherry's parents now, because before getting our own camper van and trailer, we had a test run. So we rented a van, and we started out with a Toyota Sienna van, and in order to get the juicer working, I had to flip open the hood and connect a jumper cable to an inverter, and then from that inverter, had to convert the electricity so that I could use it for the juicer. And we had these camping chairs. Sherry's dad and I, Tony and I, would open these camper chairs, set up our little table on top of the cooler with the juicer, and be juicing in the middle of the side of the road somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then inside the van, we had this portable potty, like a toilet with a bag, so she could still do her enemas. And those were really rough days. It's just easy to like laugh about it now, but that was the type of like fire that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about like having gone through that.
So that the first trial run with Sherry's parents worked well, and then you decided to do it. So how was the trip that you then took? Was it mostly for North America, or did you take it? Where were you driving around with it?
Oh yeah, we went through all the states from. We basically did all the national parks from California, I think through Nevada. I think went through Idaho, and then Montana. Yeah.
So how long was that trip?
Oh, it was about 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, almost 3 weeks. Looking back, yeah, those were some of the most memorable because we had brought an inflatable kayak with us. So wherever we saw a body of water, we would inflate the kayak and bring our dog with us. So Aura, our dog, is really comfortable being on a kayak and water because that's how she was raised and growing with us during this whole process. Yeah, it brings a smile to me. All these toys we have, I still use them to this day.
And it's really such an inspiration to see how you're still capable of doing all of those things despite the issues with the juicing and the enemas and the doctor visits potentially in between, and you know how you say that many people would be housebound during this process, you were still able to kind of go out and live out of a motorhome. And of course it was very inconvenient and I'm sure often difficult, but yeah, it's so beautiful that looking back you can look at all of these hassles that at the time for sure weren't very pleasurable, but now you laugh at them and they became some of the most memorable moments and experiences along the way. And it's, I think, a beautiful inspiration for me to remind yourself that it's in those moments when things feel really hard and difficult that you kind of come out of it and you learn more about yourself and you grow to become a stronger person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. They're very uncomfortable situations, but those were the moments that we had peak growth, let's say. Those are the moments that opened up new opportunities and opened my eyes to what is possible. And we took the leap of faith many times.
Mm-hmm. But of course, sometimes in order for us to achieve this peak growth, we have to go through the hardship. And one of the biggest hardships that you can probably ever go through in life is to lose your wife. And from what you told me when we first met, obviously that hole that you first fall into is a very deep one.
Mm.
So as difficult as it is, of course, but can you maybe share how that felt like when then, Sherry passed?
I feel like the most difficult part of it all was the end of her life. Because I've always seen her with so much strength and courage and vitality. And that final week, actually I had arranged for an interview so that we could interview her to share her story. But she struggled to stay awake because she was on pain medication. So she was dozing off. And she barely had the energy to speak.
Mm.
One of the most heartbreaking moments I recall was when she was brushing her teeth and she was trying to hold her toothbrush and she couldn't even hold the cup. She She was in a wheelchair at that time. She wasn't able to shower. I would help to wipe her down with a cloth, and she didn't have appetite. I was a personal chef, so I had to figure out a way to get her to eat. So what I did was I got this organic pea protein powder, and I mixed that with fresh squeezed juice, and I would put these into this ice cube container with little shapes of hearts, and I would freeze them so that she could just let that heart-shaped, protein-filled, cold ice cube melt in her mouth. And that was the only way that I could get her to eat, because she didn't have appetite. So for me to see the spectrum from when she was in her healthiest moment to when she was very sick, it was just so heartbreaking to me. When I realized that I needed help, more help from family. Actually, during this whole process, I was very, very, very grateful to my dad, because we have a family business, and he was allowing me to support Sherry. And by doing that, I was working less and less for our business and focusing my energy where it needed to be with her along the whole time. And when I realized toward the later stage, like, this is happening so fast, like all of a sudden her body was deteriorating so quickly, I panicked. I felt so much anxiety, like I felt, in a sense, alone, because there were many times Sherry was dozing in and out, so I wasn't really able to communicate with her as well. And that's when I realized I need to get out of our apartment in San Francisco, like just the two of us. We need to find a home where family and friends are with us. So we rented this Airbnb in Palo Alto, which is where we originally wanted to buy our dream home together. And it was near a beautiful rose garden with a place where children can play. And we would take strolls there very often. And there were extra guest rooms so that family could stay over for a night if they wanted to, and rotate with friends. We had friends visiting from Thailand and Taiwan. Ben and Lexi, they stayed there for a few nights and stayed with her.
Was it the same Lexi that you wanted to take to the first date?
Yeah, she stuck around. Yeah. And that really was the support that I needed, to have loving friends and family around me, and Sherry. And I could see her smiling even more often now, because she was remembering memories from whenever Sherry and Ben would talk to her, as well as her family coming to visit, and I feel like that's the best gift that we could have asked for toward the end of her life, was just to spend it in a place where there's the most love. We definitely didn't want to be in a hospital, so the hospice care, like having a nurse come by to check on us, that's the best we could have asked for. So There was one night I went on a walk with Lexi, and she was checking up on me, like asking me how I'm doing, how I'm holding up. Yeah, it was just such a beautiful friend to help me reflect on where I was at that time. And I'm honest, to be honest, at that time I was, I felt like I had lost. Like in a sense I had failed my mission. Because I was so hopeful and eager to have her back, that toward the end I just couldn't believe that this was the outcome, and I didn't want to believe it. After that walk, I found Sherry's brother, Leon, just kind of talking to her, and then she was resting, and she was resting a lot. She was actually sleeping, I would say, like over half the day during that time. And then close to midnight, around 1 o'clock in the morning, I was just saying goodnight to her, and then I realized that maybe she wasn't breathing, but I didn't want to believe it. So I asked our friends to check and family, and then everything else just happened so quick. I wasn't ready. I definitely was not ready for her to leave.
I can't imagine how it must feel like to lose your partner, your wife, especially after years of fighting together. You have some tissue left on your lip. And it's honestly, I think, the biggest fear I have in my life, the idea of losing a loved one like this. And how was the time afterwards for you? How do you muster up the strength to just get up in the morning and continue living?
So dark. I just feel like that time a chunk of me was just cut out, and I didn't know who I was anymore. Like, for the longest time, my mission was to support her. so much negative energy has surrounded me at that time, because I first off felt like I was a failure, that I did not do a good enough job to save her, which is not true. You know, a lot of family and friends told me I did the best I could. But there was this voice inside of me that just kept saying, like, what if I did it better? Like, what if I took more time off work and maybe made her life better by, like, all these ideas, which are kind of outrageous. And that pulled me down. Like, it was such a heavy burden on my shoulders that I started to lose focus. And I didn't know what to do throughout the day. Like, I didn't have any structure anymore. I would wake up really late, no desire to work, and stay up very late into the evenings, and I would be drinking alcohol just to help cover up some of that pain, at least to mentally not think about it. It's almost like just separating myself.
Just to escape.
It's an escape, exactly. And it was getting bad because I was drinking by myself. There was no one to tell me really, hey, maybe this is enough. So I just kept doing it, and it became a cycle. And there were other things that I'm not proud of that I also ended up doing. Like, late into the evenings, I felt like I was just so lonely because it was so quiet. Like, all the lights were off, and no one was there to talk to me. And then I just started surfing the internet and just watching a lot of pornography, just to get that feeling of dopamine release, just to feel a little bit good for a moment. But then that was an addiction. Just hours would just be spent mindlessly in front of a screen.
How was your support network around this? Because you had a lot of friends and family that were supporting you through the battle with cancer together with Sherry. Like, what happened afterwards? Because obviously the moment of depression and grief has been incredibly hard. Did you feel like you had friends and family around you that could support you?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone was reaching their hands out to help me. Like, they were checking in with me, like constant text and phone calls. I had a therapist that was also talking to me regularly, say once every 2 days or so initially, and then gradually to once a week. But ultimately, with all of those resources around me, I wasn't willing to accept the help. Like, I didn't understand what depression was like until I actually experienced it myself. It's a beast. Like, it didn't really have appetite sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, it felt like the world was kind of black and white. There wasn't much life. Like, I just didn't feel happy. It was just like I was alive, but not alive. Like, I didn't have a purpose. Just like a wandering soul, just floating around. And it wasn't until Sherry came to me in a dream. She was walking in her apartment in my dream, and she walked into our bedroom and then the closet, and she was this closet. To give you a visual, we both love to dress up, and we'd have a bunch of costumes and clothes, and we would go to like stuff like Pirate Festival and
Parrot Festival.
Yeah, there's such a thing. You should check it out.
Did you both dress up as parrots?
Yeah.
I love it.
in Vacaville, yeah, in California. We also did a Dickens fair where everyone dressed up, like the Charles Dickens, books, Christmas Carol. So yeah, a lot of costumes and clothes. So it was a small closet, and she's on the shorter side. So I gave her everything that she could access, by co-hanger on the bottom half. And for me, I would open up this ladder, and then I would like go to the top shelf and put clothes. So it literally was like from floor to ceiling. That's how full our closet was. By this period in my life, I was starting to get help from her family to let a lot of things go, a lot of her belongings. So we donated a lot of her clothes to family and friends, and then also to shelters. And when she came into the dream, it's just like her jaw dropped, like, whoa, what happened to all of my clothes and your clothes? You could see all the walls. And initially I didn't know how to respond because I couldn't believe it was her. And then I told her, hey, Sherry, actually, we've given and donated a lot of your clothes. And then she said, that dress, I can imagine, looks really good on our friend. Like, just that's the type of person she was. She was just very giving, and she was smiling. And then she looked at me in the eyes, and she said, or she asked me, how are you doing? Like, are you taking care of yourself? And that's when I had that reflection on where I was in my life and all the experiences that we shared together. And what am I doing with my life at that point? And then I realized, holy fuck, I'm throwing my life away. Like, what we worked so hard for to provide her the best life and time, I just realized, like, I'm throwing away mine by not living it. So that just snapped me out of it. She came into my dream to save me. And that's when I was willing to receive help. It was offered to me. I didn't take it until I was willing to open up. And that's when the therapist was helpful. And then a lot of reading, self-help books, addiction spectrum helped me get off alcohol and pornography. An online community, NoFap, just knowing that I'm not going through this addiction recovery by myself was really helpful to find a community. So this online community was, sharing their experiences and how their process was going, and it was just being able to have someone relate to you and just not go through that experience alone was a major, major part of what I needed to recover. And then I started to take classes, like the classes that Sherry had taken. I took those same classes, like flower arrangements, bringing a bouquet of flowers and putting that on my dining table and being proud that we were able to experience that together. I took a dance class, and I met her dance community, her teacher, Paula, and all the other dancers. I mean, I have 2 left feet, but everyone was willing to help me and pick me up. It was a lot of fun. I can see why she did it. And the tennis team, they invited me to get there on the tennis courts to play tennis. And Coach Mary was able to pull some strings to make something amazing happen. She was able to get a water fountain on the court with a plaque in memory of Sherry Lee. And we were able to just share that moment together, because she was that kind of spirit. She was like a cheerleader, even during her period of when she was not able to play tennis, she was still going there to the courts and supporting her teammates. And I feel like that's the power of love, like, that the community supports you. And I'm just so deeply grateful for all the love that we received.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've taken some more steps afterwards, obviously, to find back to yourself, right? When Sherry came to you in the dream and it made you realize that as much as you were fighting for her life, you were now throwing yours away. What were some of the other steps that you've said, that you've taken to honor Sherry?
The thing about grieving is I feel like it's never fully over. There's sometimes I would feel like a wave just crashing in and I'll just be hit by it, and all of a sudden I'm just like in this deep sadness. But other times I would remember why I'm still here. And what brings me to the present is I owe a lot to the support of men. I'm a member of the men's circle, TMC. I was searching for a community that I could express feelings, because as I mentioned earlier, sometimes feelings are repressed. So I wasn't finding a safe environment to open up. And I did attempt to open up in some circle of friends. Sometimes it's well received. Sometimes what I've been told is not appropriate. So I needed a safe place, and TMC was that for me. Men from different walks of life, different age, different backgrounds, and just a safe container to express myself, and also just not feel that I'm going through all of this alone. Other men have experienced the same thing, and that kind of support is one of the greatest gifts that I've received during this whole holistic recovery approach.
Mm-hmm. It's been how long has it been since that dream?
Oh, wow. I'd say almost 2 years. Not quite.
And if Sherry would come in a dream to you tonight, what do you think she would feel looking at you to see how you're now living your life?
I imagine her smiling and laughing at me, at some of the silly stuff I've done while solo traveling. Because that's a gift that she has given me, is that spirit to explore and not be afraid of being in an uncomfortable situation. And a lot of that courage stems from knowing that she is watching over me. There are times when I feel like there's a butterfly or dragonfly lingering around, playing around near me for longer than what is normal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think she probably took the form of that dragonfly and is just checking up on me. But I also feel like she would be very proud that she's still a compass for me. Just her presence is still here with me. So my growth with her has not ended. It still continues.
When you received the diagnosis, you mentioned there was a moment when you asked yourself, why? Why did that happen? Why does that happen to you? It's been nearly 9 years since the diagnosis, I think now, right? Do you think you have an answer for it now, why it happened? maybe? Is there ever an answer to that question?
For me, I'm beginning to learn that there doesn't always have to be an answer. Sometimes life just happens, and it's more about the perspective of how you'd like to proceed. You have the option to try to find a solution that you may never find, but I often use a few resources now when a situation like that, when anxiety hits. And they can range depending on the situation. But I'll step outside of that moment of where I am, and I'll focus on breathing. Just to pull back the breath, slow it down, just to get a little more grounded. And meditation has been very helpful. And I've found that with meditation, it's, again, not really a solution immediately. Not necessarily, oh, I have this problem, now I need to meditate. I feel like with meditation, it's like a lifestyle. If you gradually meditate a little bit every day, that'll put you in a better situation to handle a problem that comes along the way. So with that, I feel like it's a lifestyle change for me. It's not necessarily finding just one specific solution.
Yeah, from everything that you've been sharing today, I've received a lot of inspiration myself to focus on the presence, on the moment, and on living without trying to explain the world around you and the things that are happening, but just understanding that you can't change what happened, but you can impact of what you're going to do today and going forward. And I said it before, to me, the story that you shared truly has been an inspiration. I think Sherry has not only lived in those years since the diagnosis more than many people live in a whole lifetime of 70 or 80 years, but it's incredible to see how she continues to inspire you and me and maybe someone else. I couldn't think of a better way to finish this conversation now. Daniel, to me it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, to have met you on the plane, and I felt very honored that you shared that story with me. Yeah, of course, if there's anything else you'd like to share as we bring this to a close.
Oh, I still love that we met on a plane. Like it's to show that, if you're open to it, there are so many opportunities in the world, and life's too short to dwell in sadness all the time. It has its place, don't get me wrong, but I just love that you're sharing this to your viewers, and you're able to give this gift to the world. And I thank you for that, Flo.
Thank you, Daniel.
First time I met you, hiking with a tempo. Your five-toe shoes, nerdy like a bro.
On our first date, all I wanted to know, if you eat with your hands feels like a pro.
I choose you.
I choose you.
Dream comes true.
Dreams come true. Perfect match like a tiramisu. There's nothing we can do, and the moment is now, me and you.
I want to complete my bucket list with you.
From Northern Light to Machu Picchu, racing huskies into Sunset View. Look at all the places we flew to. I want to travel to distant lands with you.
Begin with vigilant, ending in Peru.
Singing together, singing of two. Will you marry me?
I do. It's happening.
It really is.
Can I say something crazy?
What?
Would you marry me?
Want to hear something crazier?
Yes?
I do.
Oh, love you, baby.
I love you, Habibi.
I want to complete my bucket list with you.
From Northern Light to Machu Picchu, racing huskies into Sunset View. Look at all the places we flew to. I want to travel to distant lands with you.
Begin with vigilant, ending in Peru.
Singing together, singing of two. Will you marry me? I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Singing together, singing of two. Will you marry me? I do.
Good. Yeah, I think I'll just cut it there.
Oh
Yeah.
man, come here. I was hoping for a hug the entire time.
That was such an inspiring story.
Thank you.
Very, very inspiring. And so many lessons I'm imagining these viewers gonna be learning from. I can't imagine the situation, honestly. I'm married, I can't imagine losing my wife.
Oh,
Yeah. But it's really inspiring how you managed to overcome this and find the light out of it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for the tools to make this possible.